actually deploy our software. And tied to the deployment is expanding our partnerships. Last year, this slide would have had probably half as many names up here. We've found that partnering with a lot of systems integrators and resellers is really critical to our business. A couple of our more recent ones is Elo down in Brazil. So we just added on a Brazilian meter maker, and they also operate as a systems integrator. Eltel is one that we added on in Europe, actually tied to a transaction we've already completed where we're actually replacing another MDM and an account in Europe. And so what we're finding is our route to market is going to be much stronger with more and more SIs and resellers supporting the ecosystem around eMeter. And on the AMI providers, we keep growing stronger there as well. We want to make sure we give you all the choice available in the marketplace so that you can have essentially your flexibility and choice. As you see on the meter display out in the hallway, we have no AMI agenda, we have no meter agenda, we really have no hardware agenda at all, and we have no ERP agenda. So we want to work with all the different ERP systems and integrate. We do that through a service-oriented architecture, and we want to integrate with all the AMI providers, and we do that through our integrations and our adapters. One of the things we did improve was our IMDM program, which is our partnership program around the AMI providers. So we're continuing to focus to make sure we can make it a smoother process as you want to consider different meters and different AMI head ends. One of the things we're starting to find is a lot of our customers are starting to look and say, well, I've been on this one, I'm struggling, or it has a feature I don't like, I actually want to consider another meter supplier to be in the mix. That's the beauty of the eMeter product, since we're open on that front. Switching to a different meter is adding another adapter, putting in a new architecture, doing some additional implementation work, but it works very effectively. We can go to the next slide. My magic wand, my hand's gonna go like this instead of pushing a little button. The other thing that we're doing is extending our reach relative to customers. I mentioned the global expansion. We've always been a global customer. Since the time frame you sat here last year, not here, but in Monterey for this conference, we've had 45% growth of our customer base. So a tremendous addition. Some of the newest ones are Energy-I over in Europe, WPPI, Black Hills, Smeco, and Salzburg AG. So around the globe, we've been adding customers. These are just our latest ones. I was sitting at the table this morning for breakfast and heard of a couple others that are actually now in final contract stage as well. So essentially every week this list is growing. And this is important for you to understand, is that we are acquiring new customers. That's good for us, and that's good for you. Ultimately, success of eMeter is directly linked to your success. And one of the ways that we really drive that success is in our sales is through policy changes. A number of you probably know Chris King. Chris is our regulatory officer. He really goes around the world. We've added a regulatory person over in Europe as well, focusing on how do I get the regulations aligned to what eMeter is trying to do and get the policies right. That's what a thought leader does. We have to set policy out there. Chris's blog is very widely read as well. And what we're doing predominantly is we're focusing on the benefits to the customer. We talk to regulators about, how do you engage with consumers? How do you engage and have a different kind of relationship such that we don't hit those snags that were in the headlines where a Public Utility Commission actually comes in and says, no, you can't do a smart grid project, or come back in 6 months and try again, put a new proposal in place. So really promoting customer benefits, promoting thought leaderships, and we're doing it on a global basis. One of the interesting meetings we had just recently was at our headquarters, and we actually had several members of the European Parliament come through. And they were on a Silicon Valley tour, essentially came to eMeter, they're going to Facebook and going to Google. So we're kind of sharing company with the right players at this stage relative to influencing policy. And they were coming to the States to essentially hear about policies that are working and not working here in the United States, so that as Europe really moves into the smart grid movement, they can be very thoughtful about their regulations. So that ability to influence policy is really important to our strategy. And it also helps us match our technology to policies, paying attention to things like standards, paying attention to security, paying attention to privacy. You'll hear from one of the commissioners up in Canada that talks about privacy and what that means. And we had actually a representative from that same group at our strategic advisory board making sure that as we're thinking about the future of consumer engagement, that we don't ignore what are the policy issues around privacy. Because these are all things that ultimately, if we don't get them right, will snag the deployment and snag the momentum that we're seeing in the marketplace. So again, best practices around standards, policy, privacy, and security, all critical topics. But really at the heart of our strategy as a company has been customer success. The way we're selling our software today is working diligently to make all of you successful. And I can't thank you enough for the support you give back to eMeter on letting customers come through and see your operations, sharing your experiences. At the end of the day, customer success is our primary differentiator. Most of the other products in the market, the vendors cannot line up success stories. They can't give and tell the tale of, let me tell you what this customer did, and let me tell you how they're running at scale. So one of the things we want to do today, and we'll get there pretty quickly here, is we want to recognize some of the industry contributions, recognize some of the critical successes that have been received with the eMeter products, and some of those that have been very innovative. But at the heart of our strategy is really customer success. I think we went the wrong way there. And on customer success, scaling to new levels, one of the real tests of a product, it's one thing to kind of run a pilot, do a pilot with 10,000 meters and go, oh, everything's great. We've seen a number with our competitors of major implementations where they do the 10,000 meter pilot. If they can get through that process, they start scaling on meters and watch the whole system fall apart. And what we're hoping to do is try to drive the market differently, which is demonstrate through you and through your successes to say, no, this product runs at scale. You can run 1 million+ meters. You don't need to go run a pilot. These pilots, some of them are lasting 2 and 3 years